Hello everyone, good evening. I'm Sri Kumar. I'm currently a senior research fellow at Center for Women Studies in JNU, and my colleague Dishari Roy, she's also with me. We started this Feminist Friday. As the name suggests, it's every Friday from 5 to 6. We meet here for almost like a year now, and we discussed one feminist reading every week. और इसको स्टार्ट करने का मकसद ये है कि जब हम कैंपस में आए तो हमें लगा कि ऐसे लिटरेचर जो हम पढ़ते हैं ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स, जिस तरह से आप लोग भी अपने अपने कोर्स में लिटरेचर पढ़ते हैं, जो फील्ड भी आर, बट वी फाइंड दैट देयर आर लिमिटेड स्पेसेस जहाँ पर आके हम ये रीडिंग्स को डिस्कस कर सकें. स्पेशली फेमिनिस्ट रीडिंग, ऐसा हमारा मानना है कि नॉट जस्ट एकेडमिक, फेमिनिज्म इज समथिंग विच वन हैज़ टू लिव. तो हमारी कोशिश यही थी कि जो इसके कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं, जो ये लिटरेचर है, अकेडमिकली साउंड आर्गूमेंट हम दे सकें और वो कॉन्सेप्ट्स हम सिंप्लीफाई कर सकें, आप सबके साथ शेयर कर सकें, ताकि हम अपनी भी अंडरस्टैंडिंग को रीशेप कर सकें. सो विद दिस वी स्टार्टेड दिस फेमिनिस्ट फ्राइडे. वी कॉल इट नेस्ट इन अ वे कि एक सेफ स्पेस हम क्रिएट कर सकें जहाँ पे लोग बिना डर के अपनी बात रख सकें. और बार बार रिपीटेडली डिस्क्लेमर यही है कि इफ़ यू हैव अ डिसएग्रीमेंट, लेट्स जस्ट रिस्पेक्ट द स्पीकर, लिसन टू द स्पीकर एंड देन शेयर आवर ओपिनियंस. And it's a safe space for everybody, including all religious, caste, diversities, sexual minorities, and for everyone. Now, this is 35th session, and इससे पहले हम लोग 34 सेशन जो कर चुके हैं. अभी जो थीम हम कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं पिछले ऑलमोस्ट 2.5-3 महीने से, विच इज़ अराउंड कास्ट एंड जेंडर, तो उसी की कंटिन्यूएशन में है आज की रीडिंग, अंडरस्टैंडिंग कास्ट. यहाँ पे एक्सपेक्टेशंस ये नहीं है कि आप पहले से पढ़ के आए हो या फिर यू नो अकेडमिकली ये सारी चीज़ हमको पहले से पता हो. द रीज़न बिहाइंड चूजिंग दिस पर्टिकुलर रीडिंग इज लास्ट वीक देयर वाज वन सेमिनार कॉन्फ्रेंस इन सा, जहाँ पे वी डिस्कस्ड एंड गेल ओम्बेथ रीडिंग्स वर डिस्कस्ड. उनका क्या क्या कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन रहा है इंडियन सोशोलॉजी में. एंड before we start, I think it's also important कि we pause and look back कि हमारी क्या क्या expectations हैं, like what are at this stage this reading which is called Understanding Caste from Buddha to Ambedkar and beyond. तो ये जो पूरा title है, it gives you lot of landscape to cover, जो कि हम let's acknowledge that कि वो 1 घंटे की reading में सारा तो cover नहीं होने वाला है, लेकिन हमारी कोशिश रहेगी कुछ हम text पढ़ेंगे, कुछ हम discussions करेंगे. तो half an hour we'll start with reading, and next half an hour, 45 minutes के बीच में we'll try to engage with conversations. To begin with, I think the difficulty begins with the name itself. As a person, Gail Ombeth, we find that how does one understand her contribution? Ki, as a sociologist, somebody who is very interesting in a way that somebody comes from outside and comes and contribute to Indian sociology in terms of reading Dalit feminism and beyond that, reshaping the way knowledge is produced in India around caste. तो बहुत ही बेसिक स्टार्ट करते हैं. पहले जो हेडिंग है अंडरस्टैंडिंग कास्ट, क्या क्या समझ हो सकती है, लाइक व्हाट इज वेरी बेसिक, व्हाट कैन बी एक्सपेक्टेड फ्रॉम दिस टेक्स्ट. एनीबडी वांट्स टू कंट्रीब्यूट, लाइक क्या हो सकता है, हम क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं इस रीडिंग में.
काम, पावर, वेल्थ को कैसे डिवाइडेड किया गया है कॉन्सेप्ट के थ्रू सोसाइटी में.
Very good. So something which is about something about caste, and caste is not just an identity; it's also related to redistribution of resources. किसका क्या लेबर है, कैसे डिवाइड होगा वो, कौन क्या काम करेगा, कौन किससे शादी करेगा, कौन किसके साथ खाना खाएगा. It's not just academic. Let's appreciate it's very much related to our lives in campus, around family. It's a part of daily practice, daily lived reality of everyone here. Like सबके साथ it's engaged at different levels also, depending upon which position, which identity you are born, you might be privileged or oppressed, and it's more complicated. Now moving on, we'll start with the introduction part. I'll read the introduction. Yeah.
So this text, I'll just give a little bit of introduction of what this text looks like. So it's not a very theoretically or argumentative text per se, like the ones we usually do in our sessions. So it's more of a narration of events. It talks about more of the political history of India and how it has moved through time, and कास्ट का उसमें जगह क्या है, वॉट एवर रिलीजियस पॉलिटिक्स हो उसमें कास्ट का जगह है, ऐसे मूव किया है. So I think we will try to present it in a way where we bring out certain important parts of the reading, because it's a whole book, it's not possible to cover everything. So we'll try to bring out some important points which we find from the text, and we'll try to cover as much as possible.
Yeah. One more announcement. अगर किसी को प्रॉब्लम है सेशंस रिकॉर्डिंग में, बिकॉज वी आर रिकॉर्डिंग इट, अगर कभी भी किसी स्टेज पे यू फाइंड यू कैन पॉज द रिकॉर्डिंग एंड देन कंट्रीब्यूट. ठीक है, तो it's for will accordingly will move ahead. First, so I'll go through the content, the index part. The first is about the two great traditions of India and the construction of Hinduism. तो पहली रीडिंग चैप्टर 1 में ही कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ हिंदुइज्म, क्या है हिंदुइज्म, कैसे कंस्ट्रक्ट हुआ, हम सबको थोड़ी बहुत समझ है हिंदुइज्म की. ठीक है, लेट्स सी वेदर दिस रीडिंग फिट्स इनटू अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ हिंदुइज्म और शेक्स इट अ बिट और इनवाइट अस टू लुक एट हिंदुइज्म फ्रॉम अ डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव. तो पहली रीडिंग अराउंड हमारे हिंदुइज्म के आसपास है. सेकेंड इज called before Hinduism. So what was before Hinduism, if there is something Hinduism? Not to, it's again a request not to accept the text on its face value, openly engage with the text, acknowledge it. Third is okay, before Hinduism, then there is before Hinduism the devotional vision of bhakti. So there is talk of bhakti movement. There is a Buddhist vision of before Hinduism. Chapter 4 is about Hinduism as Brahman exploitation, which is by Jyotiba Phule. Hinduism as patriarchy, Ramabai, Tarabai and the early feminist, which is where most of the discussion will be focusing around कि कहाँ patriarchy से we have to engage in Hinduism and early feminist का क्या कहना है इसको लेके. Hinduism as an Aryan conquest, the Dalit radicals of 1920s, Hinduism as counter revolution, Hinduism as Dalit rule, as a Delhi rule, Hinduism as Delhi rule, the independent India, Brahmanical socialism, Brahmanical globalism, Hinduism as a feudal backwardness, the Dalit Panthers, the logic of Dalit politics. Chapter 12 is the rise of Bahujan Samaj Party, and Sita's curse, which is Sambhuk's silence. So we find that there is a constant thread, if we have to make a guess, कि पूरी की पूरी बुक में there is a constant engagement with Hinduism. ठीक है, उनके and different leaders who claim to be social reformist, nationalist, against religion, feminist, socialist democrats. तो अलग अलग leaders के उनके हम लोग will be engaging with their ideas. Not necessary to agree with, but to also disagree with that. So introduction में I'll start with the introduction part. Just for most people, early scholars, Hinduism has been taken for granted concept. So it's accepted that there's something fixed concept which is Hinduism. It is taken for granted. Hindus are the people of India. Hinduism is their religion, beginning with Rig Veda of the philosophers. Even contemporary political leaders, it has been seen as a unique phenomenon of spirituality. So there is something accepted, unique phenomenon of spirituality linked to the practical life and with a solid geographical base in a diversified subcontinent. Now, when we read this text, उनका एक argue करने का तरीका है. So what the way she writes is, she'll give you the concept first कि ऐसा लोग समझते हैं, ऐसा आम धारणा है, फिर ऐसा मेरे पास proofs हैं जो उस आम धारणा को challenge करते हैं. And you're open to agree or not to accept those proofs. And then last में she concludes, last paragraph में connecting it with the next chapter. Let's move beyond this. Let's move beyond this. तो ये इनका structure है, writing style. So now she's inviting us to let's see what Hinduism is. Although its stability has been broken from time to time by invasion, conquest and disturbances, it has nevertheless maintained a fair continuity. It has given birth to rampant and unjustifiable social inequalities, but also has frowned and protest against these. Its greatest virtue has been its elasticity, its pluralism, its lack of dogmas. Hinduism, it is said, has no orthodoxy. With a core in the religious tradition going back to Vedas and Upanishads, it has been brought forth sister or child religions, which is Jainism and Buddhism, Sikhism, all born out of same fertile continuation of traditions, all part of India, and Hinduism's contribution to the world. तो पहले पैराग्राफ में वो यही कह रहे हैं कि हिंदुइज्म जो है एक कंटिन्यूटी मानी जाती है, पास्ट से, सनातन से चली आ रही एक संस्कृति है. ठीक है, उसमें कुछ त्रुटियां भी हैं, उसके अंदर कुछ इनइक्वालिटीज भी हैं, उसकी अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स भी है, बट ये कंटिन्यूटी है. एट द सेम टाइम बाकी जो रिलीजन्स हैं, जैनिज्म, बुद्धिज्म, सिखिज्म, वो कहीं ना कहीं उसके चाइल्ड हैं, कहीं ना कहीं उसके प्रोडक्ट हैं. दिस इमेज एंड ऑल्सो हिंदुइज्म इज वेरी फ्लेक्सिबल, इलास्टिक, नॉन डॉगमेटिक. ये कीवर्ड्स हैं, ऐसा हिंदुइज्म को लेके माना गया है. एंड कोर टेक्स्ट रिमेन्स वेदांत, वेदास एंड उपनिषद्स, एंड बाकी उपनिषद्स मोस्टली, एंड देन पुराणास आर पार्ट ऑफ दिस. This image encompasses the cultural diversities of subcontinent and subordinating them to a Vedantic core. So the author is arguing कि इस पूरी संस्कृति के नीचे एक जड़ है, और वो जो जड़ है that is Vedantic core. We'll understand what is Vedantic core means, but वो है. It has pervaded but popularly and scholarly writings in India. To take but one example, two scholars of religion in Maharashtra draws together Dalit, Marxist and Bhakti tradition in books entitled The Experience of Hinduism. तो ऐसे दो स्कॉलर्स हैं महाराष्ट्र के, उनका एक टेक्स्ट है. आई विल रीड इट टू यू. वो टेक्स्ट क्या बोलना चाहते हैं, विच इज काइंड ऑफ अ रिपीटेशन ऑफ द सेम पॉइंट, दैट बुद्धिस्ट, जैन्स, मुस्लिम्स, क्रिश्चियंस, बुद्धिस्ट, जैन्स, मुस्लिम्स, क्रिश्चियंस, even the Marxist of today's India cannot help partaking of it. They are all Hindus. सारे के सारे हिंदूज हैं. भारतीय एट द हार्ट. व्हाट इट इज टू बी अ हिंदू भारतीय, क्या मतलब है हिंदू भारतीय होने का. व्हाट डज इट इन्वॉल्व? चीफली द एक्सेप्टिंग ऑफ द अदर वर्ल्ड एज वेल एज दिस वर्ल्ड. तो जो हिंदू होने का मतलब कहीं ना कहीं जो वेदांतिक कोर है उसमें बात आती है कि देयर इज अ डायकोटमी ऑफ टू वर्ल्ड. एक तो ये संसार है, ठीक है, एक दूसरा संसार है, एक ब्रह्म है, एक माया है. इसीलिए वेदांत में एक फेमस कोट है, ब्रह्म सत्यम जगत मिथ्या जीवो ब्रह्मेव न परा. दैट मीन्स दीज आर टू डायकोटमीज आर मेंटेन्ड. तो ये जो संसार है ये माया है, एंड माया एंड ब्रह्म बोथ आर रियल, बट द अल्टीमेट रियलिटी रिमेन्स ब्रह्म. You can conceptualize, you can imagine it as a supreme form of a light, which is ultimate reality. Now, there are many who would contest this violently, and we shall see that Indian tradition is much more than Hinduism so defined. What is most striking, though, it is that behind the image of flexibility and diversity is a hard core of an assertion of dominance between the two, and the other world comes first. तो जो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी के पीछे there is a hard core assertion that जो दो वर्ल्ड है ना उनमें से एक फर्स्ट है, एक प्राइमरी है, दूसरा सेकेंडरी है. So we'll move ahead. तो इसी तरह से ये this is the somewhere the core Vedantic core which he is talking. और हिंदू ट्रेडिशन जो कि जैनिज्म, बुद्धिज्म, सिखिज्म, आर्य समाज, सनातन धर्म are only usually mentioned, but there is no question that the core is traditional Hinduism, what is known somewhat fellishly as Sanatan Dharma. तो core जो है फिक्स्ड है, इसीलिए कहा जाता है कि संस्कृति चली आ रही है. Hinduism is the national religion. This is page number 5 पे ही है, and there is an insult which is a dishonored caused by Muslim aggression. So the simplistic understanding कि सनातन धर्म है, फिर एक मुस्लिम का मिडिवल पीरियड में एग्रेशन हुआ है जिसकी वजह से एक डिसऑनर हुआ है, एंड देन देयर इज अ ब्रिटिश कॉलोनियलिज्म, एंड नाउ बाय द कंटेम्परेरी स्टेट व्हिच इज सेल्फ डिफाइनिंग एज सेक्युलर, इट इज डिसऑनरिंग its own land and pampering Muslims and Christian minorities. Hinduism's great virtue was its generous tolerance of other faith, but its enemies have taken advantage of this. Hindu must now be strong, fierce and proud and not hesitate to assert themselves. तो हाँ, this is the general understanding of Hinduism. हाँ, ठीक है. तो हम पे अटैक हुआ, हमारे साथ गलत हुआ बिकॉज हम फ्लेक्सिबल थे, और अब जो सेक्युलर स्टेट भी आया है, जो नेहरूवियन सेक्युलर स्टेट रहा है, उसने मुस्लिम्स के साथ पैम्परिंग की है. ठीक है. नाउ इट्स टाइम फॉर हिंदू टू रीअसर्ट देयर आइडेंटिटी. सो ये इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में ये लिखा गया है, ये टेक्स्ट लिखा गया है, व्हाट शी इज आर्ग्यूइंग. नाउ वी हैव टू लुक बियॉन्ड दिस कि we can link it to communalism debate around in the country also, not necessary to agree with that. Now इसमें एक जो writing है, कबीर becomes important. When कबीर का जो दोहा है which he has translated into English but I'll read it into Hindi, जो कहते हैं कि हिंदू कहे महु राम प्यारे, तर्क कहे रहमाना. हिंदू कहे मोह राम प्यारे, तुर्क कहे रहमाना, आपस में दो लड़ मरे, मर्म कोई ना जाना. मतलब this constant fight between Hindu and Muslim is something which Kabir has written long back. Now coming to interesting feminist take on this. Madhu Kishwar in वो जो मानुषी आर्टिकल में वो लिखती हैं, she argues in defense of our dharma. The name of the reading is in defense of our dharma, agreeing the condemnation that Nehruvian and modern left secularism are insufficient to deal with the need for identity. She is arguing कि जो Nehruvian socialist model था, that is insufficient to deal with the need for identity. We can link it to earlier readings जिसमें हमने किया था कि Ambedkar's writing on Buddha and Karl Marx, कि how Karl Marx or Marxist take on class struggle divides person of their religious identity, where religion is treated as an opium, like something which not the real cause of the problem, and creates a vacuum, which is where Ambedkar's writing on Buddhism talks that spirituality is integral to identity, and which is where Buddhism fills in that space of need for spirituality and identity. उससे अगर लिंक करके देखेंगे तो शी इज आर्ग्यूइंग कि सो नेहरूवियन मॉडल का एक क्रिटिक ये है, शी अपीयर्स टू भक्ति ट्रेडिशन एज ए ट्रू हिंदुइज्म. शी इज आर्ग्यूइंग कि हमें भक्ति ट्रेडिशन को भी देखना चाहिए, वो भी ट्रू हिंदुइज्म के एक कंटेंटर है. लाइक वी कैन ऑल्सो लुक फॉर भक्ति ट्रेडिशन ऑल्सो, एंड आर्ग्यूज दैट द militaristic image of Ram is distortion, and that much of the casteism is in fact a colonial heritage. So casteism is a colonial heritage, और जो militant image हम राम की देखने को मिलती है during the movement, it's also a distortion of actual image of Ram. This position has antagonized many secular feminists. तो काफ़ी secular feminists उससे disagree करते हैं, but there is no denying that it is pervasive, it's persuasive to many, particularly to upper middle class, upper caste Indians. Even the upper caste left is being increasingly drawn to it. This is illustrated by the poster of Sampradaik Virodh Abhiyan (SVM), which talks of the gentle image of Ram. At this point, I'm not saying that this image is right or that image is right. I'm just presenting you that there are multiple. We have to look for diversities within the text.
I think what Umbed is trying to say is that so we have this, like even most scholars have this general perception that the Hindutva propaganda is only propagated by say particular right-wing politics, but she's saying the alternative politics that exists majorly in India, say even this soft secular Nehruvian politics, that also is inherently built on a certain kind of upper caste Hindu secularism. So it's not like it may apparently seem like it's progressive, but it's actually not challenging the core Brahmanical identity of the Hindutva project. So I think she is building on that only throughout the text also, and she is quoting Madhu Kishwar also in that way. मतलब she's not directly critiquing it, but placing it in a way that तुम भी उसको critical नजरों से देखो कि where she is not exactly rejecting the problems of the religion, but saying कि उसको ही reformist नजर से देखने का कोशिश करे कि वही ये वाला राम सही नहीं है, दूसरा राम सही है, we should need to hear. So that is how Umbed is looking at it. So वही ना how we mentioned this, how she writes, and like she's placing it, and then you look at it.
So let's engage with so-called secular understanding. Secularist जो claim करते हैं Nehruvian model, and this is an important read. I'll read it slow. These two forms of opposition to Hindutva, the secular and the Hindu reformist. तो एक secular group हो गया, एक Hindu reformist group हो गया. Versions draw respectively upon Nehruvian and Gandhian tradition, while there is no reason to doubt the genuineness of their attempts. So we agree to the genuineness of their attempts to oppose the aggressive politics of Hindutva forces. What is questionable is that they accept the validity of general identification of Hindu with Bharatiya, of Hinduism with the tradition of India. So ये तो assume करके सब चल ही रहे हैं, चाहे वो secularist हो, चाहे वो reformist हो. Even when they are challenging Hindutva politics, they are agreeing to this कि हिंदू भारतीय एक है. ठीक है, so that is not challenged. Hinduism remains the tradition of India. Now, this is where the next counter argument she gives, coming from the south, which is by scholars like Guna. She talks of Guna, who talks of that he's a Tamil Dalit scholar activist. वो challenge करेगा idea of Hinduism को. Let's read that. The very concept of Hinduism, which took shape in the north only when Muslim rule was being consolidated, was never known to Tamils until the period of British colonialism. So Hinduism का जो ऊपर debate north में चल रहा है, it is unknown to south. The Brahmins who had English education and had the opportunity of studying abroad took some threads from the Europeans who conceived for a political identity called Hindustan. With the borrowed idea, they could clumsily merge with the divergent cult that Brahminical caste apartheid to term it as Hinduism. The concept resulted in the formulation of a pseudo-religious political concept called Hinduism. One not have to agree with this writing, but एक pseudo-religious political identity बन गई है Hinduism, based on which they sought to define their myth of Hindu nationhood. The Hindu was thus born just 2 centuries back. What Guna is arguing that Hindu are born just 2 centuries back, and he is still a colorless, orderless, formless, illusionary, artificial construction. Guna is a part of broader traditions. जो उनका writing, it's a broader tradition, a set of traditions which have put forth alternative interpretations of Indian identity. So there are multiple interpretations of who Hindu is, who Indian is. उसके जो multiple interpretations है, what is understanding of north, what is understanding of south, उस heterogeneity को center में लेके आ रहे हैं अभी. Let's not simply accept कि जो नॉर्थ की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है इंडिया को लेके, वही साउथ की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है रिलीजन को लेके. मूविंग एट एंड कमिंग बैक टू, दिस इज वन ऑफ द वेज ऑफ pragmatism इन फिलोसफी. pragmatism इन फिलोसफी इज कि आप अपने पास्ट को लेके भी और अपने फ्यूचर को लेके भी वी डिनाई टू एक्सेप्ट वन फॉर्म ऑफ अ लीनियर ट्रूथ. जैसे कि अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं आपका बचपन कैसा था, तो यू विल से कि हाँ, आई स्टडीड इन दिस स्कूल, आई वेंट टू दिस कॉलेज, एंड दिस इज वन वे ऑफ लुकिंग एट योर बचपन. बट इफ यू थिंक, you can also look it from different paths. So it's like a story is interwoven and multiplexes. So there is no one linear way of understanding. That's what pragmatism in philosophy brings you, to question both your past and future. This is where evolutionary biology comes in. Evolutionary biology also helps you to understand कि जो हम डार्विन की थ्योरी में बिलीव करते हैं, there is an evolution of life, we all are product of evolution. तो वो evolution भी simplistic नहीं था. Time change, temperature change, condition change, that is what is the product of the time, and it cannot be revisited and created in a very linear manner. I think I'm just repeating the same point of, let's open up our mind towards past also and not accept one way of looking at it, including this one. I'll just read the last part and we'll move to the chapter 1, which is last part. It is interesting. In the contemporary times, they draw on the leaders like Ambedkar, Phule, Periyar. They appeal to the heroes of revolt such as Birsa Munda and Veer Narayan Singh. They claim the tradition of Buddha, Charvak, Mahavir, Kabir, Guru Nanak, Baswanath. They claim heroes like Shivaji, but contest the Hindus' interpretation of him. They claim that the glories of Mohenjo-daro and the heritage of pre-state tribals as opposed to that of the plundering Aryan tribe. In contrast to the secular opposition to Hindutva, they proclaim new politics of radically transformed non-Hindu identity, and in contrast to reformist Hindu identity, they define Hinduism itself as an oppressive class, caste, patriarchal force. At this point, what she's arguing is कि हमें history में भी हमें multiple leaders की ज़रूरत है. When we are looking at tribal history, when we are looking at feminist history, when we are looking at religious history, so we have to bring different leaders into the forefront first, and also go beyond the conventional understanding of Aryan invasion. एक ऐसा माना जाता है कि and she'll argue कि how leaders like Bal Gangadhar Tilak has accepted this Aryan invasion theory, but before Aryans also there was a society. Before that हम लोग NCERTs में पढ़ते हैं मोहनजोदारो की सभ्यता, जो सिंधु घाटी की सभ्यता है, and उसके बारे में ऐसा लिखा गया है कि that society was we'll read कि उसमें ऐसे religious icons नहीं थे, they were not temples, they were not caste system जो हमारे पास अभी present evidences हैं. उसकी जो script है that is still not deciphered. So before we make any claim of that, let's acknowledge that there are still unknown aspects of Mohenjo-daro civilization also. Now moving ahead, and at this point they're saying that Hinduism as a concept itself contains oppressive caste, class and patriarchal forces. ये इनका अभी इस point पे stand है. Indeed, the impetus of challenging the hegemony and the validity of Hinduism is a part of very logic of Dalit politics. So moving on, कि Dalit politics इसमें believe करती है कि there is that Hinduism is inherently hegemonic and oppressive. That's what part of Dalit politics. And I'll pause here and I'll introduce you to the understanding of what Dalit politics is. So Dalit politics, the Dalit vision, in fact requires going beyond even the term Dalit. It is, in the last decade, this has become the most widely accepted word for the most oppressed and exploited sections of the caste system. So it's a political term for the oppressed sections based upon the caste system, but others, the other backward caste, the former Shudras and non-Brahmins generally have been also oppressed and exploited within the graded hierarchy. The graded hierarchy which Ambedkar has called the caste system. So we have talked about Ambedkar's concept of graded hierarchy. तो उस graded hierarchy के system के अंदर जो oppressed है, including OBCs, are part of Dalit politics. They have contributed to the fight against it. Some of the most profound expressions of Dalit vision have come from those who have not strictly. यहाँ पे she is saying that Dalit politics के icons include somebody who is not actually from Dalit sections, like Phule, Periyar, Kabir, Tukaram, even for the matter Buddha himself, who represents the starting point of a long journey towards social equality and social justice. So यहाँ पे we can pause and think that the leaders themselves not belonging to that particular identity and still rallying around for the larger cause of social equality and social justice. So this helps us to navigate the inside and the outside debate at this point. I'll just conclude the first introduction part and we'll open up the space for conversation around what we have discussed. So the Dalit politics as a challenge to Brahmin hegemony took on a wider, through 1970s and 80s we find the rise of Dalit politics. Its theme, जो उनका rallying, उनका call है, which is around the backward caste, the peasants, the women, the tribals. Dalit politics in the sense of a challenge of Brahminical traditions have been an aspect of several new social movements. So moving on, in fact environmental movement भी उसी का part है. Just like we say Chipko Andolan, we find socialist movements. So this is where we find the convergence between the anti-caste movements and the feminist movement and the environmentalist movement, coming towards challenging the hegemony of the Brahminical structure, which is at core Dalit politics believe is oppressive, based upon caste, class and patriarchy, and which is based upon the Vedantic core, which even the secularists have failed to challenge. Secularists at this point, and we'll see how Nehru, Gandhi have not touched in the name of spirituality, in the name of culture, the very assumption that Hindu and Bharatiya is same. So I'll pause here and open up the space for and see like where are we at this point? What are the agreements, disagreements, any comment, anything which you like to contribute to this understanding? Not any language, yeah. Is it challenging kahin pe hamari understand? Because for me it was, I believe to be secular left Nehruvian model a long time. I believe that this is something which our constitution teaches. It's a part of basic structure. But when you read this, you'll find something which is missed. Yeah.
Just a fun fact,
Yeah.
sort of thing. जो हिंदू शब्द है वो एक्चुअली आता फारसी से, उसका रूट पर्शियन है, और वो सबसे पहले इस्तेमाल करना शुरू करते हैं अल-बिरूनी। हाँ, और फिर हम देखते हैं कि उनके उसी शब्द को पिकअप करते हैं कि विलियम जोन्स वगैरह जो अर्ली हिस्टोरियंस रहे होते। सो अभी जो गांधीयन और नेहरूवियन मॉडल की बात हो रही थी, उस पर आई थिंक जिस तरीके से मैं देखती हूँ, बिकॉज आई एम हिस्ट्री स्टूडेंट, तो वी आर ऑलवेज टॉट कि यू कैन नेवर सी द पास्ट फ्रॉम द लेंसेज ऑफ द प्रेजेंट, क्योंकि काफ़ी सारी इंफॉर्मेशन है, काफ़ी सारी ऐसे रिफ्लेक्शंस हैं जो हमारे पास है, जो उस समय पे है। तो ऑल द critics are valid, criticisms are valid, but I just want कि हम लोग एक उस empathy के साथ उस पीरियड को अप्रोच करें कि उनके पास उतना एक्सपोजर या उतना हिस्टोरिकल एविडेंसेस नहीं थे। आज जितना हम मोहनजोदाड़ो या उससे पहले की सभ्यता के बारे में जानते हैं, नॉर्मल नहीं पता।
लेट्स टेक दिस पॉइंट कि हमको थोड़ा सा एम्पैथेटिकली अप्रोच करना है कि आज की जो हमारी समझ, इवन द फेमिनिस्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ इक्वालिटी कैन नॉट बी डायरेक्टली टेकन फ्रॉम प्रेजेंट एंड कि हम पास्ट में देखें अच्छा यहाँ पे तो इक्वालिटी है नहीं, दिस इज वेयर गांधी इज नॉट अ फेमिनिस्ट, है ना। सो हमें ये भी देखना पड़ेगा कि प्रेजेंट लेंस को पास्ट में हम किस सेंस में अप्रोच करें। आई थिंक इट्स अ वेरी वैलिड पॉइंट, वी विल टेक केयर ऑफ दैट।
इंट्रोडक्शन में फर्स्ट पेज पे लिखा है लाइक हिंदुइज्म इट इज हैज नो ऑर्थोडॉक्सी बट नो ऑर्थोप्रैक्सी, इसका मतलब क्या होगा?
वो how is this
सुने ना?
actually? What should we like?
Hinduism does not have orthodoxy but orthopraxy.
हाँ ये
I to skip that word because समझ नहीं आया।
Yeah, I can see.
ये वाला।
So she's writing, right? Don't record me.
अच्छा ठीक है ठीक है।
Okay. So most of the so
What could it mean? Yeah.
I'd say that when you've been reading Gail Wood, she is trying to give different understanding of what Hinduism is, and she has so far not yet presented her opinion. So she's only presenting that what do these people believe, what do these people believe.
Right.
So Hinduism, it is said, has a no orthodoxy. So she's saying that the people who believe that Hinduism is a Sanatan Dharma and it starts with Rig Veda, they say that Hinduism, in theory, it is not orthodox or orthodoxy, as in so the religion, the scriptures do not prescribe orthodoxy, but the people who practice Hinduism are orthodox. So though it may have an orthopraxy, so it has to do with the praxis, I'd say.
The practice part.
Yeah, so that is the
Yeah.
not Gail Wood's argument, I'd say. That is the argument of the people who believe in the right-wing based Hindu ideology, which is Sanatan and timeless, the first one, and also Madhu Kishwar would
Madhu
also
Kishwar
go
would
into that.
So I think that's one distinction है कि टेक्स्ट ऐसा बोलता है बट प्रैक्टिस में वो गलत इम्प्लीमेंट हो रहा है। तो हमारे धर्म में, हमारे शास्त्रों में, हमारी किताबों में, दैट्स ट्रू फॉर ऑल रिलीजन्स। ऑल रिलीजियस टेक्स्ट कैन okay, I would not say all religions
Well, all religions are patriarchal.
all religions are patriarchal,
Yeah.
but then you can always make a distinction। अच्छा ऐसा किताबों में सही लिखा है बट प्रैक्टिस गलत कर रहे हैं।
किताबों में patriarchal लिखा है।
किताबों में ही patriarchy
हाँ,
लिखी है।
that's right.
अच्छा, so by making the distinction, one can argue कि किताबों में नहीं है, practice में है।
हाँ.
So it kind of saves the literature from the attack of the critique.
Yes.
So,
Not just the
making the
literature, but
distinction.
the origin and the roots of the
Yeah,
religion.
so-
And same is argued many a times that Islam में casteism नहीं है लेकिन Muslims में है.
हाँ,
So it's the
हाँ.
same
हाँ,
argument.
Same argument.
Yeah.
Let's say even
But
the
patriarchy है सब में.
Right.
Yeah.
even the religions like the child religions from Hinduism, which are born out of a resistance of caste, say Sikhism, they also somehow at the end are incorporating casteism within them. तो वही है वो बस हमारा subcontinent का ही है.
And this is what one of the defense which Gandhi presents, that casteism, and we'll read कि शास्त्रों में या फिर वर्णाश्रम में कहीं कास्ट ऑपरेशन की बात ही नहीं है। It's the practice which is the problem, not the caste per se.
No,
We'll read
I
it.
think
I mean that is their
Gandhi.
argument.
That's what Gandhi is
That's the
arguing.
argument.
That's what the Gandhi is arguing कि practice is what the problem is. It's not the text. We'll read what it's written.
But
written
like
here.
through my reading, I would say that it's in the text as well.
True.
At least
Yeah.
in the Hindu scriptures.
Yeah.
We have to think that
Again,
inspiration of
नाम है अम्बेडकर जी,
हाँ,
उसमें उन्होंने लिखा है ये सब बातें।
हाँ।
गांधी ने मतलब काफ़ी संकीर्ण विचारधारा था उनका।
हाँ,
और अम्बेडकर चाहते थे कि रिलेशन ऑफ कास्ट में बोला कि जो कास्ट है वो धर्म से जुड़ा हुआ है।
हाँ।
जब तक धर्म नहीं खत्म होगा तब तक जाति नहीं खत्म होगी।
Exactly.
लेकिन गांधी एकदम एंटागोनिस्टिक।
हाँ, हाँ।
तो दोनों में यही अंतर है।
यही अंतर है। तभी तो वो बोले कि वो
हाँ।
धर्म को बचा, गांधी एक्चुअली ट्राइंग टू सेव द रिलीजन बाय रिफॉर्मिंग इट
Yes, yes.
and
Not reforming it, but creating the status quo.
creating the status quo. Absolutely.
That is an Ambedkar
Reform-
critique. No, I mean,
रिफॉर्म वर्ड थोड़ा
that's not what Gandhi agrees.
वो सही नहीं फिर बैठेगा। ब्राह्मण फिर उनका कहना क्या था कि जो ब्राह्मण का काम, जो वर्णाश्रम धर्म है, जो ड्यूटी है वो करना चाहिए।
हाँ।
एक ब्राह्मण को पढ़ाना चाहिए,
हाँ।
एक क्षत्रिय को काम करना चाहिए, जो वेस्ट का काम है
स्टेटस को
स्टेटस वो वही करना है।
वही करता है।
ये लिखा हुआ उन्होंने।
Yeah.
एक तो अगेन गांधी के मसले पे।
नहीं इनकी किताब में लिखा हुआ है, जो अम्बेडकर की छोटी सी पतली किताब है।
लिसन टू ईच अदर।
हाँ,
आप बोलिए।
इवन गांधी के मसले पे उनको उनकी कौन सी आर्गुमेंट आप कौन से पीरियड से पिक कर रहे हैं, दैट आल्सो
हाँ, because his arguments keeps changing.
हाँ,
उसमें भी है
वो
कि
इवॉल्व
evolves
होता है।
like
सो
any other.
इवन लाइक दैट इज आल्सो अनदर थिंग कि जब हम पास्ट में देखते हैं तो हमें को ऐसा लगता है कि बस एक फ्रोजन टुकड़ा है, बट दैट पीपल आर इवॉल्विंग,
हाँ।
थॉट्स आर इवॉल्विंग,
हाँ,
तो हमको वो फ्लूइडिटी भी एंड ऑन दैट थिंग कि प्रैक्टिस और टेक्स्ट। तो उसमें हमारी कल भी जो सेशन में बातें थी कि सती का जब आर्ग्यूमेंट हो रहा था तो द आर्ग्यूमेंट वाज नॉट कि प्रैक्टिस गलत
राजा
है,
राममोहन राय।
हाँ, तो आर्ग्यूमेंट ये चल रहा है कि टेक्स्ट में क्या लिखा हुआ है।
हाँ,
राजा राममोहन रॉय बोल रहे हैं कि टेक्स्ट में ऐसा कुछ नहीं लिखा हुआ है, विडोहुड जो मतलब जिंदा रह के विडो अपने हस्बैंड को याद करे, दैट इज अ ग्रेटर विडोहुड, तो विच विडोहुड इज ग्रेटर पे आर्ग्यूमेंट चल रहा है। एंड लाइक सिमिलर थिंग हैपेंड विद द हिजाब केस इन कोर्ट
हाँ.
कि is it a essential Islamic
Yeah.
practice or not, like the entire idea कि choice, that question disappears
Exactly.
and it all becomes about कि what is the true
What is the
religious
true
हाँ,
religion?
मतलब
Falls
टेक्स्ट में
into
अगर
the
क्लियरली
practice of
लिखा है
it.
कि सती होना चाहिए तो फिर
हाँ,
होना
हाँ,
चाहिए। वही ना।
Yeah, right. See, this is what this reading will do. Like ये reading बहुत ही simple, बहुत ही engaging है, ठीक है? So we'll pause. It's not to rush the reading. हमारा मकसद वो भी नहीं कि हम खत्म कर दें, ठीक है? So let's move ahead. Coming to which Gandhi also pointed out in the chapter 1, which is about the two great traditions of India and the construction of Hinduism. So यहाँ पे second paragraph में the term Hindu, which he rightly said, is deriving from Sindhu, the river Indus. The Hindu religion, as it's described today, is said to have its root in Vedas, the poem of Indo-Europeans whose incursions in the subcontinent took place many centuries after the earliest urban civilization. Now this is where Indus Valley civilization is important to understand कि Indus Valley civilization में क्या वो understanding जो हमारी हिंदुइज्म को लेके है क्या वो थी या फिर नहीं थी. Indus Valley में with the script if it's still undeciphered, little is known about the heart of the civilization. It was widespread, impressive, relatively egalitarian, lacking weapons of war, and has left us only a few statutory relics, including a beautiful, fragile dancing girl and authoritative beard male. So these are the relics which we have got. उसमें मोहनजोदाड़ो की dancing girl and bearded man is there, which is NCERT में सबने फोटोज देखी होगी उनकी. Even now, like even last month there was a discovery in Haryana, Banawali district में. So they are arguing कि जो मोहनजोदाड़ो जो site है, जिसको इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन का सेंटर माना जाता है, या हड़प्पा संस्कृति जो हम पढ़ते आए हैं, उसका सबसे बड़ा सेंटर एक्चुअली इंडिया में हरियाणा में है, ठीक है. दे आर स्टिल पिछले महीने तमिलनाडु में देयर आर एक्सकेवेशंस जहाँ पे वो लिंक कर रहे हैं कि ये भी इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन का ही पार्ट है. तो यहाँ देयर वाज अ कनेक्शन बिटवीन नॉर्थ सिविलाइजेशन एंड साउथ सिविलाइजेशन, ठीक है. सो वी हैव टू एक्नॉलेज कि दिस इज हिस्ट्री इन इवोल्यूशन, हिस्ट्री इन इवॉल्विंग स्टेज. Yeah, but with scientific temper, we don't accept anything as given and permanent. Yeah. At this stage, let's move ahead. So Aryans were the main force responsible for the. This is a theory which Aryans were responsible for the destruction of this civilization. उन्होंने आके attack किया और सिंधु घाटी सभ्यता खत्म हो गई. But it seems fairly clear that many of these early poems celebrated its downfall. तो ऐसे बहुत सारी poems लिखी हुई हैं जो कि इंदिरा के ऊपर लिखी गई हैं कि इंदिरा एक रूलर था and he was a destroyer of the city, term जो हिंदी में यूज होती है पुरंधार, ठीक है. The release of water and he calls the religion, वो एक nomadic clan का जो religion है उसकी बात की गई है. It was not the religion that is today known as Hinduism. This began to be formulated only in the period of the formation of Magda Maurya state, जो हमारे या ठीक है we'll move. थोड़ा यहाँ पे repetition हो रहा है, बस एक point वो ये है कि यहाँ this is the period when Upanishads was written, ठीक है. First century, second century के आसपास we find Maurya period and Manusmriti was written, but it also known that Brahmanism, Buddhism and Jainism, even Charvak are equally old. तो हमें जो हमारी समझ थी कि एक वेदा ट्रेडिशन जो है वेद उपनिषद वो सबसे पुराने हैं, ऐसा नहीं है. उस टाइम पे जैनिज्म, बुद्धिज्म, उससे जैनिज्म और भी पुराना है. बुद्धिज्म तो जो हम बुद्धा की इमेज देखते हैं या फिर जैन तीर्थंकर की इमेज देखते हैं, so these are probably 23rd and 24th in the series of generation of the icon. तो बहुत पुराने ट्रेडिशन से, इवन चारवाक ट्रेडिशन वाज इक्वली ओल्ड नाउ।
एक मिनट मैं कहना चाहूँगा, जैसे इनका एक किताब, दो किताब मेरे पास है, मैंने ही पढ़ा नहीं, एक दलित विजन है और एक अम्बेडकर के ऊपर किताब है। उन्होंने समराइज किया है इंडियन हिस्ट्री को अम्बेडकर के टर्म्स में। ये इतिहास जो है उसका डायलेक्टिकल क्या है, रेवोल्यूशन और काउंटर रेवोल्यूशन। ब्राह्मण आएगा, वैदिक पीरियड आएगा, फिर उसके बाद बुद्ध आएगा, फिर काउंटर उसका होगा, फिर ऐसे करके ये चलता रहेगा। तो उसमें कुछ
That is chapter 7 in this book.
नहीं, इस किताब को मैं एकदम नहीं जानता, मेरी पढ़ने की इच्छा है इसलिए मैं आ गया।
हाँ ठीक है,
लेकिन उस किताब में आप जो बोल रहे हैं, क्योंकि सेम अच्छा ने दूसरा भी किताब लिखा
हाँ,
है,
बिल्कुल।
तो उसमें ये चीज़ है रेवोल्यूशन और
रेवोल्यूशन एंड काउंटर रेवोल्यूशन,
हाँ, ये डायलेक्टिकल है इंडियन हिस्ट्री का।
ठीक, लेट्स कीप दैट। मूविंग अहेड, इसमें हमें ये देखने की ज़रूरत है कि आर्यन थ्योरी ऑफ रेस इज़ वेरी सिंपलिस्टिक, कि जो मैंने अभी बात की कि लोकमान्य तिलक ने भी उसको एक्सेप्ट किया था, एंड देयर इज दिस राइज ऑफ दिस इज पेज नंबर।
लेकिन एक बात, आर्यन थ्योरी को अम्बेडकर ने निगेट किया। उन्होंने हु वर द शूद्राज और
राइट
इवन ये जो बुक है, क्या नाम है उनका,
Annihilation of caste.
Annihilation of Caste, और ये कास्ट रिपब्लिक, इसमें भी मेंशन है कि
हाँ,
उन्होंने नहीं माना है।
नहीं माना, एग्जैक्टली।
Most इसमें लिखा है most archaeologists still have the same doubt that whether Aryan invasion was true or not.
तो इसमें ये बताया है लाइक जो ये वाला जो चैप्टर है इसमें ये बताया गया कि लाइक पहले आर्यन रेस थ्योरी को लाइक जो तिलक ने उसको प्रपोज किया लाइक वो आर्यन यूरोप से आया, लेकिन फिर उसमें ये भी दिखाया गया कि कैसे सावरकर ने थोड़ा उसे उल्टा है कि लाइक बाद में फिर ये क्लेम किया गया कि आर्यन यही के थे, थोड़ा उनको इंडिविजुअलाइज करने के लिए कि हिंदी तो हिंदू का ही लैंड है। इस प्रोजेक्ट में वही बात की है।
तभी तो इट बिकम्स राइट टू फाइट। हम जिस लैंड, उसी के लिए तो लड़ेंगे, देशभक्ति तभी तो जागे कि जब वो लैंड हमारा है, ये प्रूव करने के लिए कि हम यहाँ सबसे पुराने हैं। ठीक है, अगर हमारा ओरिजिन ही क्वेश्चन हो जाएगा, इफ वी आर नॉट द ओरिजिनल, ऐसे बोला था ना कि मुस्लिम आउटसाइडर्स हैं। मुस्लिम आउटसाइडर्स तब से, अगर आप डेडलाइन ड्रॉ करते हो 7th 8th सेंचुरी, ठीक है, 7th 8th सेंचुरी में राइज ऑफ इस्लाम होता है, 11th 12th सेंचुरी में, ठीक है, वी फाइंड द इन्वेजन ऑफ मुस्लिम्स। बट अगर वही डेडलाइन अगर आप शिफ्ट कर देते हो समवेयर अराउंड 1st century BC, you will find that everybody is an invasion, everybody has come from outside, ठीक है, nobody is indigenous to this land, ठीक है, तो this is
Then you're saying some are, nobody is indigenous to this land, वो नहीं बोल सकते, there are obviously indigenous tribes.
है तो सब अपने पास ही है।
exactly
But India
वही है,
was-
that's actually valid point.
Yeah, India is also attached to Africa at that point, no?
No,
It
that's a different period, geologically it was a different period.
हाँ वो तो
So जो तुम बात कर रहे हो प्लेट कॉन्टिनेंटल ड्रिफ्ट की, सारे कॉन्टिनेंट्स
गोंडवाना
गोंडवाना से,
पहले
that's
वो तो-
way beyond जब तक स्पीशीज इवॉल्व भी नहीं हुई।
फॉर्मेशन ऑफ हिमालय।
So almost like 50,000 years पहले के आसपास किया है, अफ्रीका से आने स्टार्ट हो गया है as human species. So आए सब अफ्रीका से।
द्रविडियन थ्योरी में ये इंटरेस्ट किया जाता है
क्या?
लाइक द्रविडियन थ्योरी में लिखा जाता है कि दे आर इंडिजिनस,
Right.
बिकॉज़ ये हमेशा डिबेट रहा है कि
Yeah.
लाइक यहाँ पे हिंदुत्व का और लाइक वहाँ पे द्रविडियन पॉलिटिक्स
Right.
वो लोग यहाँ पे ओरिजिन थे।
Right. But if you move beyond identity as a
हाँ, हाँ.
species,
हाँ.
everybody came from Africa. ठीक है, तो इसमें इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट जो नेक्स्ट पेज पे, पेज नंबर 5, विच इज वेयर वील कम बैक टू गांधीयन अंडरस्टैंडिंग। पेज 5 पे समवेयर इन द राइट साइड में, राइट कॉलम में, गांधी आइडेंटिफाइड हिमसेल्फ एज हिंदू बट गेव हिज ओन समटाइम्स breathtaking interpretation of what it means to be Hindu. So when you said we have to look the evolved version of Gandhi also, let's take what is final version. ठीक है, तभी तो we can agree or disagree with Gandhi in this. So what he first accepted that every individual has a right to interpret. ठीक है, तो rationality को uphold कर रहे हैं, saying that the Vedas, Upanishad, Smritis and Puranas, including the Ramayana and Mahabharata, are Hindu scriptures. He notes, but then insists on his right to interpret. He rejects anything that does not fit his idea of spirituality. Nothing can be accepted as word of God. कोई भी चीज़ sacrosanct नहीं है. Nothing is the word of God, which cannot be tested by reason. As a human, it's our reason through which we test everything, whether we have to accept or reject, by capable of being spontaneously experienced. So by saying that spirituality के डोमेन में जो भी फिट नहीं होगा बेस्ड अपॉन द रीजन उसको हम रिजेक्ट कर सकते हैं. इसी के बेसिस पे उन्होंने अनटचेबिलिटी को भी रिजेक्ट किया था. कहते हैं वर्णाश्रम सिस्टम, कास्ट सिस्टम अपनी जगह पे, अनटचेबिलिटी उसका पार्ट नहीं है, ठीक है, और उसको जो भी अनटचेबिलिटी को फॉलो करेगा दैट वाज रिजेक्टेड. बट द कोर रिमेन्स स्पिरिचुअलिटी. लिंकिंग इट बैक टू जहाँ से हमने स्टार्ट किया था, वैदिक ट्रेडिशन ऑफ डिस्टिंक्शन बिटवीन टू रियल्म्स, कि एक माया है एक ब्रह्म है. जब आप उस फ्रेमवर्क को एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हैं,
ट्रेडिशन में नहीं आया, शंकराचार्य का शंकर भाष्य में आया,
वेदांत का ही पार्ट है,
वही
उपनिषद उपनिषद का ही शंकराचार्य.
शताब्दी में.
हाँ.
और इसका सबसे बड़ा डिमेरिट ये हुआ,
हाँ.
यही नोट दिखती है कि उसके बाद पॉलिटिकल डिसइंटीग्रेशन आ गया. जो आप मुस्लिम इन्वेजन दिखा रहे हो, उसका एक बुनियाद इन्होंने तैयार कर दिया. ये मिथ्या है, सब कुछ छोड़ दो, तो उसका प्रभाव भी पड़ा. ऐसा मैंने पढ़ा.
तो अगर आप ये चीज़ जो डिस्टिंक्शन की बात करें ना, माया और ब्रह्म, ये संसार माया है वो ब्रह्म है, तो गांधी इज एग्रीइंग टू दैट आइडिया ऑफ स्पिरिचुअलिटी, सुप्रीम बीइंग, ठीक है. तो वो चीज़ मैं पॉइंट आउट कर रहा था कि वो अभी तक सेंटर को चैलेंज नहीं कर रहा, नोबडी इज चैलेंजिंग. देन वी आफ्टर रीडिंग गांधी नाउ विल मूव टू नेहरू आल्सो इन सम टाइम. लेट्स सी व्हाट गांधी हैज said, like in his text, in जो पैराग्राफ उन्होंने मेंशन किया है, कास्ट हैज नथिंग टू डू विद रिलीजन, इट इज हार्मफुल इन बोथ स्पिरिचुअल एंड नेचुरल ग्रोथ. वर्ना एंड आश्रम आर इंस्टीट्यूशंस which have nothing to do with caste. The law of Varna teaches us that we have each one of us to earn our bread by following the ancestral calling. The calling of Brahman is spiritual teacher, and of a scavenger are equal, and their due performance carries equal merit before God. At one time seems to have carried identical reward. तो उनका सिंपलिस्टिक ये समझ है कि देखो कोई भी लेबर, कोई भी काम अच्छा या बुरा नहीं है. ब्राह्मण का काम पढ़ाने का है, सफाई करने वाले का काम सफाई करने का है, कोई काम ऊंचा नीचा नहीं है, ठीक है. इससे होता क्या है कि जो सेक्शंस है उनके बीच में कंपटीशन की स्पिरिट नहीं आती है. अब कंपटीशन की स्पिरिट नहीं आएगी तो जो बनिया है, जो अपना काम कर रहा है, जो अपना बिजनेस चला रहा है, उसके पास एक्स्ट्रा टाइम बचेगा जिससे कि वो स्पिरिचुअलिटी पे ध्यान दे सकते हैं. तो जो कंपटीशन है ये सोसाइटी को डिसइंटीग्रेट कर देगा, पहली चीज़. दूसरी चीज़, अजम्पशन इज कि एवरीबडी इज अप्रोचिंग टुवर्ड्स स्पिरिचुअलिटी. और इसका आगे हम पढ़ेंगे फेमिनिस्ट क्रिटिक एक ये भी है कि अगर कोई काम इतना ही अच्छा है तो एक काम करो, फिर उस काम को रिवर्स करके देख लो. इफ इट्स सो गुड सो यू डू इट.
I think what Gandhi is doing here is he is doing two things. एक तो he is associating religion primarily with spirituality, which is at its core, and when he is doing that, he is also keeping religion very much apart from reality. So वही बोल रहे हैं कि reality है, practice जो भी बोल सकते हैं, सब काम धाम ये सब है, practice का part वो सब रहो, but spirituality में religion का मतलब spirituality वही अपना aspire for God and all. So
Anything somebody
yeah,
wants? Yeah, please.
So Gandhi's understanding is also that you know we get spiritual uplift by doing the job assigned to us.
Yeah.
So the spirituality is not away from what you do. So like a Valmiki person by doing manual scavenging is also accepted as doing something which is spiritually uplifting for them. So this is what many of the Ambedkarites and Ambedkar scholars find problematic. And another thing about caste and Hindu, I would say that no Hindu can be a Hindu without being from a caste community. So Gandhi's problem is like he wants Hinduism, but he cannot remove caste from the Hinduism. So that is also why it's like some kind of overestimation of the empathy among the Hindu community, that they will be able to do away with the untouchability, but they are not able to do away with the untouchability, while at the same time the same kind of understanding is there in the people who are downtrodden. That is why Valmikis are accepting manual scavenging, because Gandhi has told everybody whatever you are doing is giving you spiritual upliftment. So even cleaning a toilet is
Spiritual.
I think that is what
It's
is
kind of a glorification of a job and very paternalistic.
Exactly, and nobody can escape that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the idea which Gandhi is presenting, that if you don't like that job, change the job. But who will accept you as a professor if you are doing that job, right?
Yeah.
So that I think that is why I'm saying it's overestimation of the
Structurally,
human.
opportunities are devoid. Like
Yeah,
ब्राह्मण
exactly.
शास्त्र में क्या है, शास्त्र में ये लिखा है ब्राह्मण चारों वर्ण को पढ़ा सकता है, क्षत्रिय जो है वेस्ट को पढ़ा सकता है, और वेस्ट जो है सिर्फ वेस्ट को पढ़ा सकता है, शूद्र को पढ़ा सकता है वेस्ट। उसके हिसाब से जो आजकल के टाइम में ज़्यादा टीचर जो क्षत्रिय के कायस्थ हैं, कायस्थ और ऑल्सो शूद्रा जो हैं, दे आर नॉट सपोज टू टीच। तो उसके हिसाब से गांधीयन आज के मॉडर्न डिस्कोर्स में नहीं फिट बैठता है। आप गांधी का देखो और अम्बेडकर का एंटागोनिज्म देखो, वो विलेज इकोनॉमी में जा रहे हैं।
There is a full difference. But I think that we use Janvi's framework to little bit empathetic towards and let's move ahead as तरह से yeah
और एस्पेक्ट कि सो ये तो बात हुई कास्ट के आधार पर। एक ना उनको सिमन बुआ का रीडिंग पढ़ा था, तो उनका वो जो था ना कि ये जो होता है ना इमेंसिपेशन का जो आइडिया होता है, स्पिरिचुअलिटी और मुक्ति है, ये जो आइडिया होता है ये भी बहुत जेंडर्ड है, क्योंकि विमेन कैन नॉट इवन, अभी ज़्यादातर आप साधु संतों को देखोगे तो लाइक लड़कियों से दूर रहो, दे आर द एम्बॉडीमेंट ऑफ माया।
ब्रह्मचारी।
ब्रह्मचारी है।
कबीर ने ये बात बोला है,
Yeah.
कबीर की बात, कबीर ने ये बात बोला है कि महिलाओं से दूर रहो।
हाँ मतलब
सही
कभी
बोल रहा
बाकी सब मसलों में ठीक है, लेकिन महिला पे
right.
सो दैट तो
Sexuality.
वो जो आइडिया प्रेजेंट करती है कि देयर कैन नॉट बी कंप्लीट इमेंसिपेशन, देयर इज ओनली मोमेंटरी ट्रांसेंडेंस। So that is the idea that she presents. As a woman, I feel that there is no emancipation for me. There is just momentary transcendence. So ये spirituality और like महिलाओं को तो वो भी नसीब नहीं।
No, but then in Ambedkar's reading of the Buddhist tradition, like Patanjali's Mahabhashya, and also he mentioned Kautilya's Arthashastra, and then many of the Sukais, Angatar Sukai and Samyukta Sukai, they have mentioned that how women had spiritual equality in the society before the counter-revolution, and then the distortion of the Buddhist religion, which went into Mahayana and Hinayana. There women were not given that, but the new Buddhism and the reform in the Buddhist, that is the only religion I would say which gives women equal spiritual equality. But so we cannot say that it's not there anywhere. It is there somewhere, but it is not everywhere.
हाँ मतलब वो तो मतलब उस तरीके से
मीराबाई का जो डिस्कोर्स है, मीराबाई इसी से संबंधित है, उसका कोई गुरु नहीं मिल रहा था, तो रविदास उनके गुरु बने।
So you're saying कि spirituality and women
हाँ
not always contradictory. They converge.
नहीं उसमें भी मीराबाई का स्पिरिचुअलिटी है वो बहुत पेट्रियार्कल
yes.
इमेजिनेशन है।
It's glorification of actually male counterpart.
Yeah, and she is
So it's not
doing a
equal
bhakti
to
of-
hierarchical तो वो भी है.
Very
So what Neo Buddhism के बारे में आप if you can share, is it hierarchical? Is it like very
No, that is the only place where women have equal authority as men. So they have equality before God, and a woman can be a bhikshuni and a monk. She could live the same kind of lifestyle which a Buddhist monk could, but not in the distorted versions of Buddhism and not in other religions in the scriptures. So this is in practice as well as in scriptures. So yeah, that's what I think.
बुद्धिस्ट नन्स है ना, उनकी राइटिंग्स हैं, दे आर सम ऑफ द ओल्डेस्ट राइटिंग्स ऑफ वुमेन दैट वी हैव। सो इफ आई एम एबल, हमको पढ़ाया गया था बट आई डोंट नो इफ आई हैव अ कॉपी ऑफ इट। इफ आई हैव तो आई विल शेयर।
it's a good intervention.
Even in ancient history there NCERT book, उसमें एक लाइन है, अगर बुद्धिज्म वाले चैप्टर में आप देखेंगे कि बुद्धा ने कहा है कि अगर वैसे तो बुद्धिज्म है जो 1000 वर्ष तक एकदम जिंदा रहेगा भारत में, लेकिन क्योंकि हमने महिलाओं के लिए बुद्धिज्म को ओपन कर दिया है तो ये सिर्फ 500 साल ही जाए जिएगा।
Who said this?
बुद्धा, या इट्स रिटन लाइक बुद्धा
NCERT
said.
is by Buddha.
हाँ, it's
it's not.
It's written, na?
It's not,
I read like
its line is there, but it's
Yeah.
not saying that Buddha is saying this. It is. It's like theory that what led to the decline of Buddhism. It's because Buddha opened the monasteries for women. उसकी वजह से पैसा और फिर वो sexuality की वजह से there was a corruption, which is again same चीज की sexuality आने से corruption आएगा, and then there is a decline of. It's like blaming women for the decline of Buddhism.
Like
Okay.
everything else.
Like everything else. But it's written in NCRT, which is a very good point to relook. Something we should relook at.
Yes. What you were mentioning, Janvi, about the Buddhist monks, complaining about patriarchy, I guess. So that is,
it's I don't remember the content. जैसे कि इतना हमारे पास feminist literature, मतलब महिलाओं द्वारा लिखा हुआ literature we have the same case
Written text formed by women. One of the oldest
take it up sometime.
Yeah, a lot of Buddhist texts had been destroyed, as everybody knows. But still, if we find older ones, and some of them are in China and Japan, and it's in their language. So people who are in Buddhist studies and who are researching in Buddhist philosophy, they know about it, and there are some texts which mention it. So some of
This
this.
nuns के तो काफी लोग save हुए हैं. You just need to find it. And it will be very interesting to see कि
Yeah.
उस time की महिलाएं कैसा लिखती थी.
I think spiritual equality could be a topic. Yeah, could be a topic
But
where
we need people to
caste and
philosophy to
gender.
talk about. हम कुछ मानव कहाँ spirituality की बात कर रहे हैं.
यार
But yeah.
पढ़ाई कर रहे हो यार.
Hey, but on a lighter note, but yeah, something which we should look at is spirituality and.
Among that, I think many things could be seen, that Pandita Ramabai,
Yeah, we need that.
Annie Besant, and how their shift happens. Like Annie Besant went into Christianity saying Brahminism is patriarchal, and then towards the end of her life, she goes back to Hinduism, and now that is why she is appropriated in Hinduism as a great woman. So now there are some people who are collecting some of the great women leaders in India as intellectuals. Among them, Annie Besant is also given because she rejected Christianity towards the end. So
Yes, we
So
should
एक
read.
क्वेश्चन
हाँ.
आप जब बुद्धिज्म कह रहे हैं तो लाइक आप नव्याना की बात कर रहे हैं या फिर लाइक जब बुद्धिज्म आया और उस समय जो भिक्खुनी का ऑर्डर था.
Neo Buddhism, Navyana की बात कर रही हूँ, but the original which Buddha had created, Buddha's Buddhism was for egalitarianism. It was a revolution, right? And that is why we needed counter-revolution. So the revolution was anti-caste, anti-patriarchy, and anti-untouchability. So there it was, but then many of the things got distorted because many of the things got destroyed, many of the Buddhist texts got destroyed, and people were killed, monks were killed. So whatever we could gather in writing is very few. And then many of the distorted texts which you find in Mahayana and some in Hinayana as well. So there are some troubles in Hinayana as well, but Mahayana is very much like patriarchal, which is still followed in Ladakh and many of the part of our country. Yeah, so I'm talking about how Navyana was a kind of reform in Buddhism, but at the same time taking it back to the original Buddhist practices.
I think Ambedkar was using feminist way of reinterpreting religion. Probably no.
Yeah, that is my argument in Ambedkar as a feminist philosopher, that people think that Ambedkar's feminism starts from Hindu code. I would say that is just an outcome of his being feminist philosopher. Because he was reading entire text, everything from a feminist lens, and not to favor women, but to see that how half of our population is not being able to contribute to the progress of the community, progress of the country, nation, state, whatever. We are well distracted from the text.
That's okay. That's okay. That's the whole purpose of having this space. कि at least we're not fixed with the outcome at this stage.
Syllabus खत्म नहीं करना.
Syllabus खत्म नहीं. The tyranny of the bureaucratic academic spaces. ठीक है. The beauty is this. Now let's move from Gandhi's understanding to one of our other ideals, which is Nehru, and what is Nehru's take on caste is. This is page number 7. Nehru condemned caste. Second paragraph. Nehru condemned caste wholeheartedly. He disliked any intrusion of it into politics. He thought the demands, such as reservation, raised by non-Brahmins and Dalit group were divisive and tried to ignore them. His historical discussion of caste sees it as an essentially functionalist and integrative. It is clear that whatever the superficial influence of Marxism, his view of Indian society did not genuinely encompass a sense of exploitation and contradiction. So he was not ready to agree for reservation based upon caste and identity, because he find that caste will again divide Indian society. We could be very empathetic to him because it's also at the time when the country is divided on the basis of religion. So let's not create another fault lines of caste, language.
I speak to put in simple terms, Nehru sounds very much like a modern day social media emo boy. कि हाँ कास्ट गलत है, कास्ट भी नहीं होना चाहिए, बट रिजर्वेशन भी नहीं होना चाहिए, कि उससे कास्ट बढ़ता है. It sounds like that. I'm sorry to say, but
Let's read more. Let's read more.
exploitation का understanding हाँ ठीक है.
Not with the present lens. Not with the present lens.
But when Ambedkar had that lens that time.
That time, yeah.
Was Nehru not educated enough?
Exactly.
नहीं बट अम्बेडकर का पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है ना.
So
Yeah.
see,
So, लेकिन उसमें ना उसका कंटेक्स्ट जैसे श्री ने बताया ना, उसका अगर हम कंटेक्स्ट भी देखें तो उस समय कितने रिजर्वेशंस के उसको डिस्कस हो रहे थे. कि एक तो हो रहा था कि रिलीजन के आधार पे रिजर्वेशन होना चाहिए कि नहीं, कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली की जो डिबेट्स है, दिस इज वाइल पार्टीशन इज गोइंग ऑन, कि रिलीजन के आधार पे हम लोग देंगे कि नहीं, कास्ट के आधार पे हम लोग देंगे कि नहीं, जेंडर के आधार पे देंगे कि नहीं. तो वहाँ पे भी वी हैव सीन के जो फाइनेस्ट फेमिनिस्ट उस टाइम की है वो बोलती हैं कि भैया हमको नहीं चाहिए, बिकॉज देयर वाज अ सेंस ऑफ बिलीफ कि वंस इंडिपेंडेंस कम्स इट इज ऑल गोइंग टू बी फाइन, है ना. और फिर यू सी के लैंग्वेज के आधार पे स्टेट्स भी उस समय नहीं होते, वो प्रोटेस्ट के बाद होते हैं. सो दैट फियर, वो वायलेंस और वो अपने देश को टूटते हुए देखना, तो वो फियर आई थिंक काफ़ी हद तक overpower कर
That's a
रहा था.
personal take to protect somebody, but yeah, it's actually
I
personal
mean,
take.
no.
You can.
What she's saying is fine, but yes, as a Nehru, we can go to his psychological and emotional turmoil. But what about being the first prime minister of this country? I mean, you are responsible and you are conscious being. That is why you were made a prime minister.
See,
I mean,
the thing is कि इसमें ये वाला point भी, this is the point that I struggle with a lot on a personal level. कि there are things कि जो there are scholars कि जो पेपर पे बहुत सही चीज़ें लिखते हैं, ठीक है, and then there are politicians who have to get it done. जैसे हिंदू कोड बिल था, अम्बेडकर ने रेडी किया, ठीक है, लेकिन इट कुड नॉट लाइक वो जो इनिशियल था वो पूरा का पूरा एक बारी में नहीं गया. सो उसको तोड़ मरोड़ के जैसे तैसे करके जिस तरीके से इसको 6 साल लगे पुश करने, है ना. तो
2006 में जो आया, the provision was there in the 1951 itself.
yeah, so the thing is कि
So many other things also.
then this also comes कि on paper it is very, you know, it is okay to write such things, and then there is the reality of society where you have to get it done. So that also comes into play.
You want to?
बस एक
I'll come to you. उससे पहले
yeah. So
I'll come to you.
when Ambedkar was writing the code bill, he was not writing a book. He was writing it as a rule and regulation for the country to work in a way. So like that was for the policies and the direction for how the country should function, and not writing a theoretical book. So it was very much practical what he was
I'm not
doing.
saying कि
But
it's not
yeah, the implementation was difficult because many of the members in the team, and still in our parliament, how many women are there? That is why gender bill is not being passed. So that is the challenge which we have. And if we start taking them with that, you know, what difficult situation they had been facing, then we cannot hold anyone responsible. I mean, like just.
No, the point is कि there's no point holding this Nehru. I'm not saying you don't hold him responsible. I'm just saying कि take the context in which he was operating also into consideration, and then you criticize him. There are perspectives of Gandhi and Nehru which you cannot agree with. But I'm just saying that take the complete scenario in mind. When it comes to caste, when it comes to certain things, there is obviously you side with Ambedkar. There's no doubt about it. But let's not make it either or you know, कि
Either or
as in कि
either Ambedkar was right or Nehru was right.
हाँ,
Gail writes in her book on Ambedkar that Nehru has glorified caste in discovery of India. She writes like that. So when it comes to the second point, law making, it was Hindu Code Bill was not very radical law. When it comes to Age of Consent Act, Hindu wife, Hindu nation, that point of time also there was a group of people, Hindu nationalists, they opposed such sorts of law. Not only that, before that Sati was example, anti-slavery was example. Even the evolution, there was special privileges to Brahmins that they cannot be given death penalty. It was abolished in the year 1829 in India. So we have to see the larger context, utilitarianism versus Kant, Bentham versus Kant. Reservation is based on the social utility, maximum benefit for the maximum number of people. It is not Ambedkar who is giving reservation. Britishers implemented this idea based on the Benthamite philosophy. This is what I believe. And it is against the Kantinian philosophy. Kant believes that state has to promote the individual liberty. And reservation is against the, and there is a debate between Nozick and John Rawls and Ronald Dworkin. So reservation को अम्बेडकर के साथ मिला करके ग्लोरीफाई करना, ये मुझे लगता है एक बहुत ही पैरोकियल अप्रोच है. लार्जर कंटेक्स्ट है, बहुत जगह, यहाँ पे थोड़ी ब्रिटिशर्स आए हैं, बहुत हजार जगह, बहुत सारे जगह गए हैं, वहाँ पे भी लेके गए हैं. अब
I think we are opening up more conversations, like reservation itself is a separate debate, है ना? And we need to engage with that. At this point, we are reading Nehru. We are making him accountable for things which he could not see or in a way appreciate to the level which we at this stage we expect. With again the caste perspective. And I'll read the last paragraph. It says that Nehru, left side, Nehru secularism then. We are questioning the idea of secularism which sometimes we hold very dear to and try to defend. Nehru secularism then shows that the degree to which the construction of Hinduism in the late 19th and the early 20th century had succeeded in making the Brahminical interpretation of Indian society, social history, hegemony, not only for those who militantly identify as Hindu, but also for those who prided themselves as avoiding such an identification, in ignoring the challenge of anti-caste radicals, in failing to deconstruct the actual meaning of such construction as Hindu culture. The Indian left and the progressive elites allowed the maintenance of Brahminical assumption of superiority and authority. The right of the elite to rule and to assume the role of guardians, Nehruvian assumptions which saw communal harmony or secularism as achieved from above by the powerful state, fitted easily with the statism that was the mark of India's version of industrial development. As Pandey put it, by 1930 and 40, the importance of enlightened leadership. So this idea of statesmanship and enlightened leadership, which goes back to idea of Ashoka, Chandragupta Maurya. Then, so this is more like a democrat, but with statesmanship. So worship of the leadership, relying on one person who will come and resolve the problems of the society. It's of course it's a very naive democracy. We're talking very new stage, but what the construction of Hinduism successfully accomplished was to establish Hinduism as taken for granted religion of the majority. So this was never questioned. Hinduism as taken for granted for majority, linked to the backward peasant core of pre-industrial society. So this is where we see the convergence between Gandhi and Nehru. In this context, Gandhi identified with it, with the peasantry as he understood it. Nehru saw both as backward, as inferior, but both accepted a Brahminical core of Hinduism and the need of a paternalistic, enlightened leadership. Paternalistic, enlightened leadership, both response ultimately failed in overcoming the Hindu identity, in reforming it sufficiently to allow for full participation in its religious center by lower caste and preventing the growth of violent and aggressive forms of religious interpretation, which we find that rise of right wing takes place through these failures of which left was not able to engage, which opens up the space in 1980s and 90s. Now we have covered. Yeah.
But 8th chapter correctly.
So we'll move to the actually one more chapter, which is core of feminist reading, which is the last part. Okay. First, let's pause here. How much time which we can spare? Do we have 15 more minutes, or do people have to rush? Let's take a moment. 15 minutes. we'll just read a feminist reading, which is where Tarabai Shinde and Ramabai, Pandita Ramabai, and interestingly they engage with the question of religion and caste.
What page number?
This I'll come to patriarchy. Hinduism as patriarchy, page 2. Yeah,
Thank you.
page 31. Hinduism as patriarchy. Ramabai, Tarabai, and the early feminists. So what they have to talk. Now Phule wrote this. So Phule has written about this. We'll come to Ramabai. Ramabai, who first page. Ramabai, who had come to Pune, founded the Arya Mahila Samaj, and then shortly after departed for England, where so she was sponsored for like British trip outside India, and she converted into Christian, and being a Pandit, Hindu. So we see how she deals with the question of patriarchy. And Tarabai, she has written this comparison between Stri Purush Tulna. So these are two important texts. Now, second part we see that of course Phule's feminist leanings have expressed themselves earlier in his education of his own wife, refusing to divorce her even when they had no children. So Savitribai Phule, they could not conceive a child, but Phule refused to give her divorce at that point. Savitribai was the first in many of the 19th century Maharashtrian feminists. So she is one of the Maharashtrian feminists, Savitribai, taking up an enthusiasm of teaching of Dalit boys and girls in the school. Now, she is also one of the few models, if we have to look for role model of a happily married feminist women. This is what this text talks. So this is one of the few examples where I find a happily married feminist women. It sounds like a contradiction. Now, I'll just skip to the part where we have to. I'll come to the Ramabai's part first. Now, this is page number 33 on the left part where we'll read. In other words, in spite of our initial acceptance of most of the assumptions of Hindu nationalism when it comes to our own experience, so Pandita Ramabai, she is the daughter of an wandering and a reformist Brahmin, the only woman of her time to have educated in the sacred language, who had fought her way to be recognized as the intellectual of her times, who had come to condemn the core of Hinduism as fundamentally patriarchal. So she is somebody who is educated, Brahmin, and then questioning the patriarchal norms in the society. Now, we will find that there was this in MP area, she had a bold decision. And so there was this 1990s May in Madhya Pradesh. She brought back the girls who were starving. She began to abandon the caste-related prejudices, and she opened up this space called Sharda Sadan. So, एक अकाल प्लेग फैल गया था. प्लेग के टाइम पे तो औरतों की हालत को देख के तो शी गॉट एवरीवन इनटू हर होम फर्स्ट, कास्ट प्रेजुडिस को छोड़ के, एंड देन उनके लिए शारदा सदन खोला. एंड दिस इज वन ऑफ द फ्यू एग्जांपल्स ऑफ फेमिनिस्ट कम्युनिटी लिविंग which is like a self-reliant utopia. Pandita Ramabai was thus one of the first to actually embody a vision of casteless, classless, patriarchy-free society in functioning community. So she could build this utopian world, caste, class, patriarchy se pare of a community. Now, moving on Savitri Bai, she wrote this text which is called Stri Purush Tulna in the form of a diffuse and bitter polemic. It is not as reasoned. उनका जो writing, it's not as reasoned direct critique of Hindu scriptures based upon the conceptual analysis, but a very satirical one, attack on the language they have used. When Brahminical theorists began to turn such texts into scriptures, women like Tarabai and Ramabai had to attack and reject them. Ramabai tried to create a different institutional framework with different human relationship and spent a lifetime in service of high caste and so-called low caste widows, whose position represented the most dire fate of women in the time. And in the same page, we find that Tarabai and Ramabai were already in the 19th century raising their voice against Partha Chatterjee's had described as the nationalist resolution of women question. What was necessary to cultivate the material technique of modern Western civilization while retaining the strength of the spiritual essence of the national culture. I'll pause here and emphasize on this particular text which we have read right now. So, independence मिल गया 15 अगस्त 1947 को. So, Partha Chatterjee is writing this nationalistic resolution of women question. Essentially, this text is saying कि अभी जो है सबको बराबर के हक मिल गए, बराबर के rights मिल गए, Constitution में लिखा हुआ. So now we have resolved the women question, which is where the report 1974 वाली 1971 towards equality 1974 report comes. हाँ, yeah. So this was जब ये मान लिया गया कि अब आज़ादी मिल गई है, सबको बराबर के अधिकार मिल गए, तो औरतों की समस्या तो सॉल्व होगी, औरतों की डिमांड तो मिल गई ना, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में दे दिया है. Now this is where we find the critique of ताराबाई शिंदे and रमाबाई कि how they are challenging that in looking to the solution of. एक तो ये डिवीजन जो मान लिया गया है कि जो वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड है वो मटेरियलिस्टिक वर्ल्ड है, जो ईस्टर्न वर्ल्ड है वो स्पिरिचुअल डोमेन है. तो हमने बहुत बार अपने सेशंस में डिस्कस किया कि जब भी जो डाइकोटमीज बनती है, जब भी जो बाइनरीज बनती हैं, वो दोनों बाइनरी कभी भी इक्वल पावर में नहीं होती, हमेशा बाइनरीज को एक हायरार्की में रखा जाता है. तो यहाँ पे भी हम वही पढ़ेंगे कि इन लुकिंग ऑफ दिस सोल्यूशन ऑफ ईस्टर्न मॉरल, एक मान लिया गया कि जो ईस्टर्न है वो मॉरल्स एंड द वेस्टर्न साइंस, दिस सीम्स टू हैव नो क्वालिटेटिव डिस्टिंक्शन बिटवीन द रिफॉर्मिस्ट हिंदू एंड हिंदू नेशनलिस्ट, जहाँ पे कि बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंस है नहीं हिंदू नेशनलिस्ट में और हिंदू रिफॉर्मिस्ट में. हिंदू रिफॉर्मिस्ट मतलब जैसे कि आर्य समाज, ब्रह्म समाज, ये जो इनको हिंदू रिफॉर्म की बात कर रहे हैं, तो इनके बीच में और हिंदू राइट विंग के बीच में बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंस है नहीं, क्योंकि दे आर फोकसिंग ऑन द मॉरल एस्पेक्ट, फोकसिंग की जो इंडिया जो है वो स्पिरिचुअल लैंड है, जो वेस्ट जो है वो साइंटिफिक लैंड है.
एक इंटरप्रिटेशन है आर्य समाज के बारे में.
हाँ,
आदि कोई थे यूपी के रिफॉर्मर, दलित बहुत बड़े रिफॉर्मर थे. उनका कहना था कि जब सेंसस स्टार्ट हुआ तब जाकर के जो अपर कास्ट हिंदू उनके अंदर एक ट्रेड हो गया कि हिंदू का संख्या घट रहा है, तो बाकी लोगों को इस फोल्ड में लाने के लिए मूल शंकर तिवारी, मूलचंद तिवारी शायद कुछ नाम.
हाँ, हाँ.
So
These are who founded
the purpose was to keep the major number, not reform. और उनका जो सत्यात प्रकाश है उसमें एक वर्ड है, एक में शुद्राज समथिंग, दैट शुद्राज का एक ही काम है सेवा करना, तीनों का सेवा करना. ये लाइन लिखा हुआ है.
तो इसमें जो आप बता रहे हैं ना एग्जैक्टली, तो वी कैन नॉट इक्वेट ब्राह्मण समाज और प्रार्थना समाज विद आर्य समाज, बिकॉज इन्होंने एक वर्ड यूज कर लिया है कि रिफॉर्म, लेकिन मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा किसका टेक्स्ट, बट उसमें वो डिवीजन देते हैं कि देयर इज अ रिफॉर्म मूवमेंट एंड देन देयर इज अ रिवाइवलिस्ट.
Right.
So the revivalist movement is very close to the right wing. And also ये जो word का usage है ना, इसमें मैं थोड़ा सा अपना nationalist, हिंदू nationalist, तो अगर आप पूरा का पूरा आज़ादी का दौर देखेंगे तो there is somebody called सौरभ वाजपेयी, हमारे CHS में सीनियर रहे हैं, BPU में प्रोफेसर है, तो उनका आर्ग्यूमेंट है कि हिंदू नेशनलिस्ट वर्ड का यूज ही गलत है, क्योंकि जो फियर्सली हिंदुइज्म को प्रोपोगेट कर रहा है तो नेशनलिज्म के लिए स्टैंड नहीं कर सकता. उसको जब आप नेशनलिज्म का अप्रूवल का ठप्पा दे देते हैं, सो मेक द बाइनरी बिटवीन कम्युनलिज्म वर्सेस नेशनलिज्म, यू गिविंग देम अ करेंसी जिसके ऊपर वो कैश कर रहे हैं.
It's a very valid point. We have never seen that way. कि in the process of critiquing it, you are supporting it.
Yeah.
है ना, कि हम हिंदू नेशनलिस्ट one can be Hindu.
Correct. That is a concept that's valued.
I think we will engage more on this. Let's not take any stand for now, but something we should look for. Now moving ahead, so this was insufficient for the women. So this is where the role of women comes in. This was insufficient for the women who wanted to be considered complete human being, since it was the Eastern morals which oppressed them. So they are rising against the Eastern morals. Whether Western morals also did is another issue, but the fact that Ramabai take the most obvious example, जो उनके खुद का inner conflicts थे, that she even in Christianity she finds that regarding attitude towards women was not sensitive. Unlike the Aryan Samajist, for instance, Ramabai could not see the present state of women simply as degeneration. unlike the Brahmo Samajis, the men like Gandhi, she could not turn to idealized version of Vedas and Upanishads. So imagine the dread, or imagine the uncertainty with which Ramabai is going through, because there is no given text to hang upon. Vedas and Upanishads, to convince herself that the essence of Hindu spiritualism, जो हम स्टार्टिंग से बात करते आ रहे हैं कि सभ्यता के अंदर एक स्पिरिचुअलिटी है, वेदांतिक कोर है, तो उस एसेंस में ऑफ हिंदू स्पिरिचुअलिज्म could be saved from its casteist and patriarchal exercise. Ramabai, like Phule and later militant Dalit, had to reject Hinduism. Similarly, Tarabai could not see these rishis and gods as symbols of divinity. Tarabai could not see कि ऋषि के अंदर वो divinity है without accepting her own position as inferior. Yet, how is it that so many of the later and the more highly placed women activists come to compromise on this issue? This is something which you have to think. How are women able to compromise with the position of spirituality, Hinduism? Yeah. The answer is partly, of course, that they were forced to compromise as a way to make some smaller gains. So this is to gain some space, to gain some recognition, probably different form of compromises which a Hindu woman did.
So typically what women are always supposed to do in other contexts as well, like to bargain, to engage in the bargain, so that थोड़ा सा कुछ अच्छा हो जाए.
This reminds me of the discussions हम लोग यहाँ पे कर रहे थे शादी को लेके. There was like कि JNU में जाके पढ़ लो पर शादी अपनी कास्ट में कर लेना, मतलब that kind of a compromise कि पढ़ने की आज़ादी तो मिली,
शादी सिखाते हैं क्या?
पढ़ने की आज़ादी दे दी, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि शादी भी अपनी मर्जी से कर लो. तो that kind of a compromise is although very different.
Other end, that's like the parents are compromising.
Yeah.
कि एक चीज अलग दे रहे हैं, दूसरे में हमारा मन चलता है. इसलिए opposite है.
Yeah. So the upper caste and the elite women organization. This is important. In 1920s, में we have this formation of All India Women's Congress and similar organizations, which is where we trace the institutional form of women's movement. So the upper caste and the elite women organizations worked within the Hindu framework. So the Hindu framework remains intact and spoke of leaders like icons like Sita, Savitri as ideals of women, not as symbols of male oppression. They praised the freedom of Vedic period, Gargi, Apala, Lopamudra, बहुत सारे ऐसे नाम हैं which we can always keep referring when we see of that हमारा ancient past जो था वो तो नारियों के लिए बहुत ही ज़्यादा open और बहुत ज़्यादा progressive था. जैसे 10-15 नाम सुनने को मिलेंगे. Now and not as symbols of male oppression, they praised the freedom of Vedic period and depicted parda and other evils resulting from the social conditions of Muslim invasion. If not from the Muslim themselves, they fought for and eventually got implemented in some form a new Hindu code bill, which talks of property rights and divorces. Further, by leaving Muslim women out of the bill, they left a dangerous legacy for the fermentation of communal feeling in the later years. So now, she is trying to establish a link between the so-called reformist Hindu liberals and their connection with the rise of right wing, which on a linear basis have not challenged the Hindu framework of looking at Indian society. I think with this we have come to the last part of this, which is the last page. I'll read. Again, I'm repeating this. There was a debate between Indian feminism about prostitution, saying one section supporting prostitution in the name that this is something which जिससे कि लेबर आता है, पैसा आता है, इकोनॉमिक एम्पावरमेंट घर चलता है, prostitution justified पे सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं. But when somebody argued, like Durgabai, Marathi writer Raja Dhale, she argued that if Durgabai thinks the work deserves so much respect, then why doesn't she do it herself? So we always have to see if somebody is glorifying any job. Let's put this as a framework कि अगर कोई जॉब इतना ग्लोरीफाई किया जा रहा है तो एक काम करो, आप ही कर दो,
अपनी बेटी को दे दो,
अपनी बेटी को दे दो.
ये एक BBC का डॉक्यूमेंट्री है, A Scandalous Woman of 19th Century. उसमें एक महिला है, वो इस पे मूवमेंट चला रही है. एक प्रोस्टिट्यूशन को बोल रहा है कि नहीं, ग्लोरी के लिए मेल जो ये काम होता है, ये बस में नहीं कर सकते, समाज का ओवरऑल प्रोडक्टिविटी से बनेगा, एक लोगों का ऐसा मानसिकता था। तो उसके खिलाफ इन महिला ने प्रोटेस्ट चलाया। वेंडर डिजीज कोई एक्ट है उस पे कि प्रोस्टिट्यूट के पास जाएंगे और फोर्सफुली यू कैन चेक द पार्ट ऑफ द प्रोस्टिट्यूट, वेंडर डिजीज एक्ट, दिस वाज गिवन द राइट। ठीक है, उस पे महिला ने चलाया।
एंड आई थिंक यही अगर लॉ हम घर पे एक बार ट्राई करें ना, बाय रिवर्सिंग द जेंडर रोल, कि हमें ऐसे माँ और सिस्टर के रोल को बहुत से ग्लोरीफाई करते हैं, बट अगर वो इतना ही ग्लोरीफाइड काम है तो आई थिंक इट्स आल्सो द टाइम व्हेन मेन शुड रिफ्लेक्ट कि
I
we should do it.
want to comment one thing, मतलब even like I get the point, even what you said and even what is ये reply जो है राधा ढाले का, so it's also interesting ना, मतलब ठीक है वही I get the point, what the point they're trying to get across, but somehow also उसमें भी वो क्या कहते हो point भी हम करते हैं ना औरत के ऊपर ही, मतलब वैसे कि हाँ that is also in a way kind of उनको छोटा करने के लिए कि हाँ आप ही कर लो काम, and even we say कि आपने बेटी से करा लो काम, so it also sounds, it's also interesting, मतलब हम दूसरे तरीके से मर्दों को भी उस आर्गुमेंट में ला सकते हैं, जैसे कि very interesting Facebook meme, sorry for referring to Facebook, but it's very interesting actually, बोले कि so you will see say Muslim man like trying to defend the use of parda and a Hindu man trying to defend the use of sindoor, yet you see neither man while boys. So that's the thing. मतलब कोई बोल सकते हैं कि आप ही करो ना?
No, actually he is saying this because women are arguing for prostitution.
हाँ नहीं, I
Not men are
understand.
arguing for
Yeah,
prostitution.
I get.
He is speaking for like for those women who are actually in the practice, that they are not speaking, but other women who are so privileged, like one of my friends, she's in University of Warwick now, she was here earlier, political science department. She used to say that you choose to be professors and theorize sexuality. So that is what this man also said, that you want to sit in the ivory towers and you want to convince people that how sex work, so-called sex work is just like a any profession, like being a doctor or professor or any respected job, but at the same time you have nothing to do with it. You don't have any history, you don't have any family related with that, you are not in that, and then they go ahead to arguing this point that we have to continue the sex work so that we can protect the respected women from the forward men.
Yeah.
So like instead of reforming men from or like helping them emancipate from coercion, they are trying to push the
Channelize.
already marginalized women into something as if like it's their place to be raped by the pervert people so that you are saved in your place. So that is very hypocritic. That is what I think.
It was split between Indian feminist debate. It's an important debate where upper caste feminist and Dalit feminist kind of completely disagree.
Yeah.
Was it? Or my understanding very superficial?
No. What you're saying is correct. When the Mumbai government banned this.
90s.
Yeah. I am trying to remember when was this. So when Mumbai
Dance
government
bar, bar dancers.
Yes.
Ban kar diya.
Then this was the discussion that who is going to. Where did my notes go?
There was a book called India's Daughter, a very famous book on this issue only. India's Daughter.
2005.
No.
Maharashtra. No.
Yeah.
Maharashtra government banned bar dancing
Bar
in
dancer.
2005. Then the liberal Marxist feminists were protesting to rebuke the ban, while the
License.
Dalit feminists protested for rehabilitation of the women. Yeah.
I think these are two important.
Two quick points. एक तो कि आई अंडरस्टैंड कि ग्लोरीफाई करना और ऐसे आर्गुमेंट देना कि भैया रेप ना हो इसलिए रेप इसको कंटिन्यू करना, दैट इज एक्सट्रीमली प्रॉब्लमेटिक एंड इट हैज़ टू बी काउंटर्ड. बट देन ऑल्सो कि इतना डीमोनाइज किया जाता है ना इस प्रोफेशन में कि दोज हू आर ऑलरेडी देयर, उनके लिए आप सिचुएशन इतनी वर्स बना देते हो कि उनको पुलिस वाले आके तंग कर सकते हैं, उनको और लोग आके तंग कर सकते हैं, एंड देयर इज नोबडी whom they can go for asking help because आपने उस प्रोफेशन को इतना डीमोनाइज कर रखा है. So
हेल्प
that
नहीं,
is
they instead of treating them victim, they are treated as culprit under suppression of immoral traffic act. Police can go and catch them, and there is punishment for it.
so that entire culprit thing comes because the thing is demonized.
लॉ का जो अप्रोच है बहुत कोर्सिव है, उनको विक्टिम नहीं देखना है, उनको कल्प्रिट के रूप में देखना है.
So they have to be not even they are citizens. Like more than victims, they're citizens. And another thing, I totally understand what the argument that Durga Bai lady was trying to make could be problematic, but then I also wonder would if a male had put out that argument, तो कोई दूसरा
He cannot
उसको
say आप
पलट के ये
करो,
कर
वही
देता
ना,
कि
that's my point.
तुम भी कर लो.
It's not.
So,
Yeah, it will not come across in the same way. वही ना.
हाँ, तो मतलब उसका काउंटर आर्गुमेंट से भी हो सकता था इंस्टेड ऑफ सेइंग दैट कि भैया आप करो.
So देवे मेरे को तो एक ना एक फॉर्मूले की तरह नजर आया है. कहीं भी ऑपरेशन चेक करना है ना, इफ यू वांट टू टेस्ट कि यहाँ पे स्पेस में ऑपरेशन हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा, जस्ट रिवर्स द रोल एंड सी हाउ इट फील्स. मेरे को लगा उन्होंने ऐसे प्रपोज किया है, if it's so good, if it's so glorified, if it's so helping, then just you do it. As a testing method, I was saying कि चाहे घर में अप्लाई करो, चाहे सोसाइटी में अप्लाई करो.
Then your point, I understand his point also. I understand.
हाँ, what you're saying is
But
correct.
somehow when it's related towards a woman, it is coming from a different place. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, na?
And it's not just about this particular thing.
हाँ, हाँ.
It's about-
In general also.
In general, women in academic spaces, they would not be countered with another argument. They'll be countered from another space, like another way.
Yeah, yeah.
They would not be given the
Exactly.
space of a equal academic and argued accordingly.
And cutting across fears, academic बोलो, कोई भी topic में बोलो, the best way to put a woman down is sexualization.
हाँ.
This is applied everywhere. There's no space in the whole world that exists where this is not the way women are put down. So that was my
So
point.
this is very good example that there is a problematic statement from a woman's side also, but the person countering it is also
हाँ.
problematic.
मतलब
It's just moving towards the last paragraph. I'll read it and then we'll move towards the conclusion. So the powerful critique of early feminists. This is where feminists are good at engaging and critiquing themselves. The powerful critique of early feminist women like Ramabai and Tarabai and their male supporters focused on the crucial issue of patriarchy and sexuality. So this is the central feminist area. Attacking the double standards of pavitrata.
पतिव्रता.
Pativrata. I'm so excited by this word. इतना सुना है ना स्मृति ईरानी के एपिसोड्स में पतिव्रता. वो जो ना एपिसोड वो एक
Serial?
हाँ स्मृति ईरानी used to क्योंकि I time traveled to my childhood.
I never watched. Did you watch it?
I used to watch
Sari K serials.
Sorry, yes.
No, I never used to watch TV series because it was too time consuming and I still don't.
You were always running in the
You're
background.
always
like,
so
directly
हाँ,
child.
घर पे मम्मी
मैं
को-
शक्तिमान
That's
देखती
very
थी.
true.
I was a शक्तिमान kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
So double standards of Pativrata. Many women upheld the value of monogamy, and others used legends and mythology to mock all the impositions of sexual standards. Though no explicitly claim to sexual freedom were raised among the reformers and radicals. So nobody actually argued for the sexual freedom, whether it's a reformer or radicals. Later, leaders of the women movement during the colonial period identified with the dominant Hindu reformist cultural trend underlying the Congress organization. So organizationally, the women's movement collaborated with Hindu reformists.
नहीं, collaborate नहीं बोले, but उनका जो कहना था, it was similar to what was going the underlying trend.
No, in India's Socialist Congress, which was a part of Indian National Congress, had a reformist take. Yeah. So they accepted. So this is where they accepted the basic framework of Brahminical patriarchy. So Brahminical patriarchy remains the same, but it was early feminists like Ramabai and Tarabai who were closer to the general attitude of lower class and peasant women in taking the Puranas as stories and not scriptures. So they were considered as stories and not scriptures, and seeing them as representing the many facets of male oppression rather than divinely ordained ideals of human relationship. And last, what of Phule's confidence? Though through the education would lead even the Brahmin women to throw away the Shastras. For some, it has undoubtedly happened, yet education has not proved to be the great dissolver of patriarchy. So, education has not played the key role of dissolving patriarchy that it was expected to be. Perhaps because education in independent India has been limited, focused, rote memory based, and fashioned within the framework of successful constructed Brahminical Hinduism. So, education itself is sustaining Brahminical
Education, but
Hinduism.
what kind of education?
So, like, we hardly have feminist readings or feminist text in any of our literatures, school, colleges, में कहीं
And it's also the general thought, मतलब it's a good
And
point.
not just feminist literature, there was this study which talked about कि जो lessons आते हैं ना stories, English और बाकी subjects में, तो you see protagonist कौन है ज़्यादा?
Yeah.
That also comes into play.
Who are the professors, let's ask. Philosophy is full of dead old white men.
Yeah, exactly. Not just philosophy, even in terms of literature, the literary pieces that you pick. So classical
Fathers of
literature.
sociology, fathers of
Fathers,
biology,
fathers.
all fathers.
Father of the nation.
Father of nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have mother only as Sita, Mata Sita. What about others? We don't have Phule.
एजुकेशन में जो भी टेक्स्ट है वो भी मिटा दिए जाते हैं। जैसे पिछले साल हुआ था दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी का इंग्लिश लिटरेचर में मीनाकंठ स्वामी का एक पोएम था, तो वो लाइक उनके सिलेबस से हटा दिया। तो उसमें भी एक काउंटर वो रहता है कि जो अभी पहले भी है वो भी हटाया जा रहा है आजकल, जो भी थोड़ा मोड़ा बचा है।
The rosy picture we paint. In general, we have a thought कि education will liberate us. We hope it would, but what kind of education? वो भी है सोचने का बात ना।
किसका लिखा हुआ है?
Yeah, कौन सा education? वही ना education.
But in a neoliberal state education, public education system, the role is not to reform society or change. It's very utilitarian in terms of.
No, but it is usually thought na that even like oppressed society also believe that this is the general thought, and I would also like to believe that education is the way we can. I think also say it is usually it reiterated from the idea कि education can help us get out of our oppressive jobs. मतलब यही from very ground level बोली वही ना, the one who is in scavenging job, he would imagine कि if his daughter studies, then she would get a respectable job. उस हिसाब से या education has the potential to liberate us, but वही जो हम बहुत रोज़ पिक्चर बनाते कि एकदम हाँ वही ना, that also the role education plays in lives of people from different sections of society, that is also different. But if you believe that say the people who are oppressors कि we think हाँ education से उनका मन बदल जाएगा अचानक से, they'll become very progressive, that does not happen probably.
Shalija Beck says education has different roles for different kind of women in India. So like she says that many of the women from the upper caste society, they get educated so that they can get a better candidate, better
Marriage
potential
market
husband. Yeah. But while for the Dalit Bahujan Adivasi women, education is in some way a tool to help them in social mobility. Yeah, so like that is one kind of thing she's shown. And another thing I wanted to talk about is about the sexuality. So when we talk about sex work as a profession and how we treat them, so there is a history about it, like the Devdasi, Jogani, Murali, those people and the people who live in those situations where they live in like they are most vulnerable to trafficking, kidnapping, gang rapes and murders. And when those people are put there, I mean over 70% of the sex workers come from those backgrounds, like who are Dalit, Bahujan, Adivasi and lower class Pashmanda Muslims. So when the constitution is in this way, that means the respect they already don't have. Because of their particular identities in the social hierarchy, they don't have the respect anyway. So all the women are treated in the same way. So, and then the people who had been the descendants of the Devdasis, they had no other option to do a job. So they are still in the prostitution. And then also the people, the girls who were born out of the, you know, the rapes by the priest of the Devadasis, they also went into the same, because like, for example, if my mom is a prostitute, it's difficult for me to be in JNU, right?
Yes.
So the structure had been like that, the status quo had been maintained, and neither the reformative,
The
I mean,
argument is not to maintain the status quo. Like the argument is कि अभी जो है उनकी नेक्स्ट जनरेशन या वो भी अगर दूसरे प्रोफेशन में जाना चाह रही है, उस पर बात ही नहीं हो रहा है.
हाँ.
सेम कि उतना डिमोनाइज मत करो कि अगर उनके साथ कुछ गलत हो रहा है तो वो आके मदद भी ना मांग सके. इतना सिंपल. वो सही है गलत है उस पर तो जा ही नहीं.
nobody goes and talks to them. I mean, they'll only go as a researcher and explore, and they'll write books on them, and then get famous and invited everywhere, earn money from it. Nobody really goes and works with them to improve their situation. I mean, that requires a lot more courage and commitment than, you know, discussing about it and arguing for them in international conferences. So, which is easier for many of the people who are already privileged enough to be feminist writers. So, and we are, and that is why we can argue that they have a choice, they are agents, but then survey reports show that everything. I mean, that is the argument, right? That they have a choice and they are
Even
like
their
that's
choice, that's it, they
profession.
should be allowed to do it. ऐसा तो बोले जाता है.
Yeah, yeah.
So we continue the conversation. I think this is one of the sessions most engaging which we had. It's lovely to have you. A quick 30 seconds point which I don't just want to add. One chapter which we missed was about Fule's writing,
Yeah.
and it was very new, and I'll share it with everyone. We do talk of knowledge power nexus which Foucault talks repeatedly, and it was Fule in his writing has already talked about this knowledge power nexus. So this is nothing which we cannot look into our own traditions of writings of Fule. Important, he was also the first. Marx talk of class struggle, haves and have-nots के बीच में, अमीर गरीब के बीच में जो struggle होता है. So contradictions of the class. Fule also wrote about the contradictions of the class between people who have knowledge and who don't have access to knowledge. So his writing are in a way very important if we, and in a very postmodernist, in this writing Gail Lombe talks that how Fule was writing about postmodernist thought way beyond what we understand postmodernism in post 1960s and later. Okay, so just a name to refer and read more before we just catch on to Marx or Foucault or postmodernist thinkers. Something which we can delve later also.
Mukta Salve is not there, right?
Mukta Salve's.
No, in thinking why whether Tarabai Shinde was of 13, but Mukta Salve was writing about, you know, critiquing the patriarchal norms in the society while she was 13-14 years old.
Yes.
So I was wondering.
And we should include her poem, especially at one point. Like, उनकी जो poem है Mukta Salve, want to make people who have not. If you want to make some question point. Okay, because we have overshot our deadline. Thank you so much for holding this space. We are humbled and honored to have your participation and your views to be able to speak freely. These are not easy topics for even us also. We find it very complex. Neither do we claim that we know all of this. But it's lovely to engage. Thank you so much. If everybody is comfortable, we'll take a picture.